Good morning, folks. Rick Spain with Infinite Grace Ministries with just another thought for you to think about, and hopefully it's going to be good. I am thankful for Philip Reed and Reed newspapers for sponsoring this program, and blessings on them as well as blessings on you. So, like I say, I hope this helps. You know, Mom goes into the bedroom and she says, "Son, it's time to wake up." She walks off to do what moms do, and the boy acted like he didn't hear her, and he just kind of just laid there. Well, a few minutes later, Mom comes back in and says, "Son, you got to get up. We've got things to do today." And he rolled over once, and then he just kept laying there, and Mom went off and doing what moms do. And so that third time she comes in and she says, "Son, you have got to get up. We have church this morning." And he says, "I don't want to go to church." She said, "Son, you have to go to church." He says, "Mom, I don't like them and they don't like me." And she says, "Well, son, I'm going to give you two good reasons why you need to go to church today." And he said, "Well, okay then." And she says, "First of all, you're 35 years old. And the second thing is, you're the preacher." And so the son got up. You know, and we look at that, and it's funny, but you know, it's a lot on the mentality of how we see God in relationship to ourselves, and most of it seems like just a bunch of work. You know, but I wrote this down Christmas Day, the last Christmas, on Christmas Day, and ran across it, and the Lord told me to share it with these people. And so I've already prayed for you, and I believe that God's got a word for you today. So I'm going to read it to you. I got 4 questions. Are you righteous enough for God to accept you? Did Jesus have to limit his sacrifice because of you? Do you ever reach a place where his sacrifice is unnecessary, meaning Jesus? And does Jesus ever cease to be Savior for you because you have attained a position that qualifies you as equal standing? You know, we look at those 4 questions on the in the common mentality, and you know, even people that, so to speak, don't go to church would answer all these questions as no, 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 no. You know, because we can't be good enough, we can't do enough, all these things. That's in the first thought. But you know, this is something I've learned. It's not the first thought that gets you, but it's the second thought. And this is where we get concepts. And so, listen to this. Some people are lucky, some are blessed, some have a good start. They were raised in love, taught the values and morals, trained to be upstanding citizens. They were warned of the pitfalls and had a good start. They were brought up with an adequate understanding of God and his ways. Then there are those who were abused, discarded, brought up in shame. Their experience was never in the mind of God, even though their mindset was in the belief that he rejected them. All of their experience is filtered through this mindset. These 2 examples are polar opposites. It could be an accurate description of the person in the extreme. Most of us fall somewhere in the middle. I think we can agree with that. The difficulties in life are a mirror image of our concepts that bring value or devalue our existence. So what does that mean? What that means is whatever we've gone through, whatever we're facing today, it's going to be measured by what happened yesterday. And so this is what I want to deal with this morning, not necessarily the first thought, but the second thought. So the first thought being the obvious answer. Is this a certain color, or is this color or that color? These are obvious answers. Is it raining outside or not raining outside? That's an obvious answer. But see, what gets us is in the concept, what we've gone through in life. And we measure where we are today by what we went through yesterday. And so this is what I'm getting into. So righteousness, that is a religious word that we in the church world understand. We understand righteousness. But if you get out in the world, how much do you hear the term righteous? And yet it is a concept that we all strive for. So listen to this. Righteousness is a standard that we live by whether we think about it or not. This standard is typically measured by our surroundings. How we measure is by our neighbor, our coworker, the one who we sit by at church, or maybe the one we sit beside at the bar stool. How we attain righteousness. Now, I'm not going to gloss over that thought right there, because this is where we live, folks. You know, some people get their religion from church, and some people get their religion from the bar. You know what? The hairdresser, the cafe, you know, sitting eating breakfast. You know, but we all have the same concept. We want to be right. So now let me keep going here. How we attain righteousness is simply by being just a little bit better in the measurement. If we reach a standard just a little bit better than the sinner beside us, we can breathe easier by this self-justification. Therefore, the qualifying point is in our ability to produce this goal in life, to be right. This is where the arguments are justified, the position is attained, and we reach the place that gives us the right to be heard. Who can say, I am better than you? Our measuring stick, which includes mine, is broken. Why is that? The more we do right, the more the evidence of wrong becomes a reality. Dang it. Let me read that again. The more we do right, the more the evidence of wrong becomes a reality. We can cover up the wrong by doing more right, or just simply give in to the wrong because we have exemplified a measure of right. And so what does that mean? That means that, you know what, yeah, I made a mistake yesterday, but I'm going to work double hard today to be right. And so if I work double hard today, then that'll take care of that wrong, or not. I'm not asking you to listen to me. I'm asking you to listen to your own heart. So the evidence is in the heart unless you have allowed the heart to harden by using that broken measuring stick. We all have it. We all have a broken measuring stick. The standard doesn't account for where you came from, how you were raised, or whether your start was good or bad. It seems the more we had to overcome somehow gives us more of a right to be called right. This doesn't work for anyone. Not because of what I say, it's because of what your own heart says. Okay. So we drowned ourselves in the medicine that numbs the inadequacies. Come on, folks. The drugs, the alcohol, the occupations, the family activities, the hobbies, even the work for God. This is what we use to anesthetize the conscience. whatever it takes to bring the sacrifice that allows us to move forward without losing our ever-loving mind. The knowledge, the acclaim, what we've accomplished, are accomplishing, none of this matters when the heart recognizes the end of the day. Was it good enough? We could have done this or not done that. We could act better, do better, be better. Why do we continue to wrestle with what seems to be insurmountable? This is the reason Jesus was born. He was born not to prove himself, but to prove without him our existence is futile. I don't care how good or how bad you may be, you still lack the one quality that all of your striving is attempting to attain. The one thing that the heart truly yearns for, whether you want to admit it or not, is to be right with your Creator. When you're right with him, the problems don't seem to exist, or don't cease to exist. The challenges still remain. The qualifying is still measured. The bottom line is, at the end of your day, your heart can rest with the assurance that you're right with him. When does this sacrifice of Jesus cease to exist? Never. I want to stop here just for a second in my reading, because I want to talk to you. You know, I remember back decades ago when Jesus found me. You know, we talk about us finding God or us finding Jesus. He's never lost. It's just when we consciously recognize he's there and he found us. I remember way back there, I was not a good person, folks. I was, like I've said before, I was the kid that the moms would tell their kids, don't hang out with him. Jesus found me, changed my life. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you what he did when he came. When I allowed him to come into my life has never been the same. But as I went along, I started learning this and learning that, and you know, doing the right thing, and my actions changed, and my habits changed, my thoughts changed, and somehow I reached another level. And so there in my justification, I could look at another and say, you know what, I'm better than them because I am doing this and doing that. I am right. Well, then life comes and slaps you in the face and says, sit down, son. You don't know what you're talking about. And so I've learned that I don't care, compare the President of the United States to the bum on the street. God sees them both the same. And we have comparisons. We think, well, if I reach this level, I'm going to be good enough. And then until the day that good enough is not good enough. And then you fall off of that high horse and you realize that, you know what, I still need the sacrifice that Jesus made. No matter where I am, what I have attained in life, how good my life is, I still need him. When does the sacrifice of Jesus cease to exist? Never. When you realize this truth, the striving becomes less intense. The self-medicating loses significance. What once was an activity to produce life no longer has a hold and simply becomes an activity in life. All of the success and achievements fall before him, and we can finally breathe. There's only one true need in this life, and it is in the acceptance of what Jesus gave his life for. This great sacrifice was not intended to be somewhere out in the distance for somebody else, or for somebody that needs it more than I do, somebody that's more qualified than I am. Nope, not meant to be out there. It's a gift that God gave to you right where you are. Whatever the current activity is in your life, this gift is closer than your next breath. It is the qualifier that your heart has always longed for. There's nothing to compare to the greatest gift of all time, what Jesus did for you. The only thing you have to do is say yes to him, and that gift becomes yours. I hope this touched your heart like it touched mine. Have a great day.